तो देखो 55 years old lady whose blood pressure is high for the past few weeks, patient is overweight, patient has diabetes, and patient is taking metformin for diabetes, and there are no drugs for hypertension because earlier she was not a known case of hypertension. Few weeks से पहले ही patient was having blood pressure, elevated blood pressure. Okay, and when patient came to the hospital, her renal function was found normal and urine analysis was also normal. Renal function में क्या क्या चेक करते हैं? सीरम क्रिएटिनिन, सीरम यूरिया, sometimes potassium, serum uric acid. So all these values were normal. Okay, renal function test. And urine analysis में we will try to check the sugar content, the proteins, or sometimes pus cells or red blood cells or all, और sometimes excess electrolyte जो भी है वो सब चेक करते हैं. पर्टिकुलरली यूरिन एनालिसिस में अपन इन्फेक्शन देखने के लिए और प्रोटीन, ये केस में शुगर के साथ, ग्लूकोज के साथ प्रोटीन्स निकल रहे या नहीं. इफ पेशेंट इज हैविंग ग्लाइकोसूरिया or if patient is having proteinuria or not, for that we will perform urine analysis, but here patient was having all normal values. Okay, understood the condition. Now this is the hypertensive case with diabetes and patient is overweight. In yesterday's class I explained everything about beta blockers. We have discussed everything about beta blockers. Okay, clear? Now can we go with beta blocker in this case or not? First question. See, अपने को अब तक till now first question is we should go with beta blockers or not. Second question, अगर दिए तो क्यों देते, नहीं दिए तो क्यों नहीं देते? I want reason. Inhibitory effect only, no here. But patient is not taking sulfonylurea. Patient is not taking insulin. What's wrong? What's wrong in that? Metformin will not cause hypoglycemia. याद रख लो, metformin will not cause hypoglycemia. Okay, so based on the glycemic value, okay, you are telling beta blocker may cause hypoglycemia and through that it may mask the symptoms if patient has hypoglycemia. Okay, through that you can tell ki beta blockers are not given for this patient. Okay, any other reason? Anybody that beta blockers should not be given in the patients who are diabetic? ये point तो already we have seen. And beta blockers are not given to the patients who are having dyslipidemia, and beta blockers are contraindicated in obese patients. Beta blockers are contraindicated in obese patients. Or beta blockers, actually what beta blockers does, what is the action of beta blockers on लिपिड के ऊपर बीटा ब्लॉकर का क्या एक्शन है? एनीबॉडी? लिपिड के ऊपर व्हाट इज द एक्शन ऑफ बीटा ब्लॉकर्स, अनस्पेसिफिक बीटा ब्लॉकर्स पर्टिकुलरली, नॉट, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट. एग्जैक्टली. तो ओबेसिटी में अपन दे सकते हैं बीटा ब्लॉकर्स? नो, actually yesterday I missed this point. Based on this point, we here in this patient, number one, first reason as Sudhanshu told and Vicky told, in diabetic patients beta blockers तो देना ही नहीं. Okay, in some conditions we can go, condition like this, where patient is not taking insulin or where patient is not taking sulfonylurea. But now before solving this case or before treating this case, let me tell you about ACE inhibitors. In yesterday's class we have seen beta blockers. Now we will try to discuss in detail about ACE inhibitors. इसके बारे में डिटेल फटाफट फास्ट जानते. ACE inhibitors and ARBs both we will see. Okay, anyways, calcium channel blockers कल we have discussed few points. In today's class also we will try to finish this one. Okay, चलो देखो mechanism of action, mechanism of ACE inhibitors. In previous classes, in most of the classes, I explained about the mechanism of RAS mechanism. Okay, in this class we will directly see exactly how ACE inhibitors will work. सब लोग ध्यान दो यहाँ पे. Okay, kidneys will release renin when kidneys stops the perfusion of blood, when kidneys receives less amount of blood. When kidneys receive less amount of blood, when perfusion of the blood in the kidneys decreases, it will stimulate the release of renin. Okay, and one more point is kidneys will release renin when patient is having hypotension, when patient is having hypotension, or when patient is having severe dehydration, or when patient is having hemorrhage, और when patient is having severe anaphylactic reactions. ये सब conditions में blood pressure बहुत fall हो जाएगा. In that conditions kidneys will release renin. What this renin does, renin will convert the angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1. This point we already know. Angiotensin 1 again converts into angiotensin 2 by ACE enzyme. This is the very important enzyme which is on which we are focusing now. Angiotensin converting enzyme converts 1 to 2, and this 2 is very powerful compound, and in yesterday's class I already discussed. Angiotensin 2 will go and fall on certain receptors. Angiotensin 2 receptors. यहाँ पे सब लोग ध्यान दो. अपने को angiotensin 2 के receptors we have angiotensin 2 receptors. These angiotensin 2 receptors are again classified into two types. They are classified into two types. Angiotensin 2 receptor 1, angiotensin 2 receptor 2. Okay, angiotensin receptor में अपने को फिर से they are having two types, angiotensin receptor 1 and angiotensin receptor 2. You should not confuse. Angiotensin receptor 1 is activated by angiotensin 1 ऐसा करके नहीं. Okay, this angiotensin 1 receptor and angiotensin 2 receptors both are the receptors which are activated by or which are stimulated by angiotensin 2. ये जो angiotensin 2 is there, no, this is potent. It will have action, binding action on angiotensin receptors. Angiotensin receptor के दो है, one is angiotensin 1 and one is angiotensin 2. Actually these are angiotensin 2 receptors with 1 and angiotensin 2 receptors with 2. Are you following me? समझ में आ रहा आप लोगों को? Yes, इसमें confusion कुछ भी नहीं है. Angiotensin 2 receptor के actually we should name them as angiotensin A and angiotensin B, but they named it as angiotensin 2A, angiotensin 2 1 and angiotensin 2 2. Okay, anyways, अब देखो angiotensin 2 receptor 1 is located on blood vessels, it is located on kidneys, it is located on heart, it is located in brain, nervous system बोलते हैं, nerves can. Okay, and see angiotensin 2 receptors also we have, but these two receptors are under research. Angiotensin 2 receptor is stimulated by this angiotensin 2. What happens? Blood vessel constriction occurs. When blood vessel is constricted, peripheral resistance increases, and through that blood pressure will be increased. Clear? Now on the kidneys we have angiotensin 2 receptor again. Angiotensin goes and falls on the kidneys, and it activates the release of aldosterone. And when aldosterone releases, what is the function of aldosterone? Very good. Aldosterone is a mineralocorticoid. Okay, aldosterone is a mineralocorticoid. So it increases the reabsorption of sodium and water, and through that what happens? More blood volume increases. Blood volume will increase, and again blood volume, what it does? It will increase the peripheral resistance, and through that it will increase the blood pressure. And here one more on the heart, directly on the heart. On heart also we have angiotensin 2 receptors. So when angiotensin 2 falls on these receptors on the heart, it increases all actions, like it increases AV conduction velocity, it increases cardiac heart rate will be increased, and it increases force of contraction, and through that more cardiac output increases, and through that also it will increase blood pressure. Okay, this is another point. And next on the brain, angiotensin 2 will cause release of or will cause stimulation of sympathetic system. These are the actions of angiotensin 2. These are all the actions of angiotensin 2, and these all actions of angiotensin 2 are directly increasing patient's blood pressure. Now we have some drugs called angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors. They are called ACE inhibitors. When we inhibit this enzyme, what will happen? Angiotensin 2 will not be synthesized, and blood vessels will be dilated here, and here aldosterone will not be released, and what happens? Here cardiac actions will not be seen, and in the brain sympathetic activity will not be seen, and ultimately by inhibiting all these mechanisms, blood pressure will fall down. इससे पहले blood pressure क्यों बढ़ रहा था? Due to the angiotensin 2, and when angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor is given, now blood pressure will fall down, opposite हो जाएगा action पूरा. So angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors will decrease blood pressure. Because of that, ACE inhibitors are very effective drugs for hypertension. Angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors are effective for hypertension. Now you understood the mechanism, right? Everybody understood the mechanism, how angiotensin ACE inhibitors are decreasing blood pressure. We all know that this enzyme converts 1 to 2. Okay, clear? Along with this action, this enzyme has another action. Angiotensin converting enzyme has another action. That one is it will try to metabolize the bradykinins which are synthesized in the lungs. All second year students, in first year I think I explained this point. I don't know how many of you remember this. Angiotensin converting enzyme converts 1 to 2, that is one function, and the next second function is this enzyme breaks down the bradykinins which are synthesized in the lungs. आप देखो अपन ये एंजाइम को ब्लॉक कर दिए, we blocked this enzyme. When the angiotensin converting enzyme is blocked, it is ultimately decreasing the activation of angiotensin 2. This is beneficiary effect in hypertension. Along with this action is also stopped. That means bradykinins will not be metabolized in the lungs. When bradykinins are not metabolized upon AC inhibition, what will happen? Bradykinins will increase in the lungs, and through that it will cause dry cough. सुनो सब लोग सुनो, एंजियोटेंसिन कन्वर्टिंग एंजाइम का एक्शन क्या है? इट कन्वर्ट्स angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. Okay, done. And next function is it will break down the bradykinins. Bradykinins are a type of inflammatory mediators. These bradykinins in the lungs will cause bronchodilation actually. Bronchoconstriction. They will cause bronchoconstriction and they will cause vasodilation. Bradykinins will cause vasodilation. Okay, now see this enzyme it breaks down the bradykinins. This enzyme breaks down the bradykinins. अगर ये एंजाइम इनहिबिट हो गया तो ब्राडिकाइनिन क्या करेगा? ब्राडिकाइनिन अपने बॉडी में बढ़ जाएगा ना. When this enzyme is inhibited by giving ACE inhibitors, what happens? Bradykinins will elevate in the lungs, and when bradykinin elevates in the lungs, what happens? It will show two actions. सब लोग ध्यान दो. When bradykinins elevates in the lungs, it will show two actions. Number one, it will cause dry cough, and number two, it will cause vasodilation. So vasodilation is helping in hypertension. This is beneficiary effect, but dry cough is not a beneficiary effect. So dry cough will be the main adverse effect with ACE inhibitors. How many of you understood this mechanism? We have captopril, we have enalapril, we have lisinopril, perindopril, and ramipril. So these are the examples of ACE inhibitors. The pharmacokinetics also we can directly see here in the same image. स्क्रीन दिख रहा ना सब लोगों को? यहाँ पे in these examples you should remember particularly enalapril. Okay, you should remember about enalapril and ramipril, lisinopril. These are all drugs are also commonly used. Enalapril, actually here enalapril is sometimes available as IV form. Enalapril is available as IV form. Why it is available as IV form? Because it is having rapid first pass metabolism. When it is given through oral route, it will be rapidly metabolized in the liver, and through that its action can be restricted, its action can be decreased. So enalapril is available in IV form, and enalapril can be sometimes given in emergency conditions for rapid action. Okay, ये चीज आप लोग ध्यान रख लो. And see, captopril's duration of action is around 8 to 12 hours. Enalapril is 24 hours. Lisinopril more than 24 hours. Perindopril more than 24 hours. This is also 24 hours. Okay, these are the examples of ACE inhibitors. ACE inhibitors के बारे में और एक दो चीजें I'll try to tell you. See, ACE inhibitors will not cross blood-brain barrier, but they can cross placental barrier. In pharmacokinetics, we have seen the duration of action. Most of them are metabolized in the liver and they are excreted through urine. Simple. सब drugs ये सब kidneys में से excrete होते हैं metabolized होने के बाद. But important point what we have to remember is ACE inhibitors or poorly they are entering into the blood-brain barrier, but they can cross placental barrier. तो इसका मीनिंग क्या है? ब्रेन के अंदर कम एंटर हो रहा, but it is entering into the placenta. If the drug enters into the placenta, what will happen? It will show its action in the placenta. And here, don't forget, ACE inhibitors are strong teratogenic. They are strong teratogenic. Because of this adverse effect, ACE inhibitors are strictly contraindicated in pregnancy. Pregnancy hypertension में ACE inhibitors कभी भी नहीं देना. क्यों? Because they are highly teratogenic in nature. Understood? Now what we have seen is we have seen the mechanism of action, we have seen the pharmacokinetics of each drug or some of the drugs. क्लियर? यहां तक समझ में आया एसी इनहिबिटर्स के बारे में सब लोगों को? आप देखो एसी इनहिबिटर्स के इंडिकेशंस. फर्स्ट इज हाइपरटेंशन with diabetes. Okay, second, I'll explain here only why ACE inhibitors are drug of choice in hypertension with diabetes. Can anyone tell me this reason why ACE inhibitors are drug of choice in diabetes? Anybody from the class? Anybody from the class? Why ACE inhibitors are drug of choice in diabetes? अब सुनो सुनो मेरी बात. सी इनिशियली अगर पेशेंट को हाइपरटेंशन है, इन हाइपरटेंसिव पेशेंट्स वी कैन गो विथ कैल्शियम चैनल ब्लॉकर only with hypertension and diabetes. If patient is having only hypertension and diabetes, we can go with calcium channel blocker, we can go with thiazide diuretics, or sometimes we can go with other agents. What other agents we have? Beta blocker, no, not beta blockers should not be given. Yeah, calcium channel blockers, thiazide diuretics दे सकते if patient has hypertension and diabetes. Now if patient has hypertension and diabetes along with proteinuria, hypertensive diabetes patients will have high risk of proteinuria, and through that it will cause hypertensive diabetic nephropathy होने के चांसेस ज्यादा है. अंडरस्टूड एवरीबडी? हाइपरटेंशन डायबिटीज अगर दो कंडीशंस है तो वी कैन गो विथ कैल्शियम चैनल ब्लॉकर्स एंड थायजाइड्स. बट along with hypertension and diabetes पेशेंट को प्रोटीनूरिया भी है तो ACE inhibitor will be the drug of choice. ACE inhibitor will be drug of choice. Why? Because ACE inhibitors will decrease proteinuria in diabetic hypertensive patients. ACE inhibitors will cause nephroprotective action in diabetes hypertensive patient. Because of this nephroprotective action and decreasing proteinuria action, ACE inhibitors are primarily chosen in patients with diabetes and hypertension. How many have understood this point? Irrespective of proteinuria, but proteinuria है तो कंपलसरी ACE inhibitor ही देना. Irrespective of proteinuria, फ्यूचर में proteinuria कम करने के लिए, नेफ्रोपैथी कम करने के लिए, what we do? We will go with ACE inhibitors in patients who are having hypertension and diabetes. Clear everybody? So अब देखो first indication of ACE inhibitors is hypertension with diabetes. Clear everybody? First indication of ACE inhibitors is hypertension with diabetes. Clear everybody? Now second indication, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट इंडिकेशंस है, याद रख लो. सेकंड इंडिकेशन, ACE inhibitors are drug of choice in hypertension with congestive cardiac failure. In yesterday's class I told congestive cardiac failure. In congestive cardiac failure, ACE inhibitors are drug of choice. ACE inhibitors are drug of choice. Do you know this point? In congestive cardiac failure, ACE inhibitors are drug of choice करके I told. अपन congestive heart failure में ACE inhibitors देते, अपन ACE inhibitors and digoxin and digoxin के साथ diuretic. In some cases, if patient has severe tachycardia, beta blocker देते. बट मोस्ट ऑफ द कंडीशंस में बीटा ब्लॉकर अपन कांट्रा इंडिकेट करना, बिकॉज बीटा ब्लॉकर दिए तो फिर से पेशेंट की कंजेस्टिव हार्ट फेलियर अग्रीवेट होने के चांसेस है. ओके, बीटा ब्लॉकर अगर दिए तो मॉनिटर करते रहना. ओके, बट बीटा ब्लॉकर बहुत रेयर देते, बट मेनली इन कंजेस्टिव हार्ट फेलियर फर्स्ट लाइन ड्रग इज ACE inhibitor, second line is diuretic, and sometimes digoxin can be given if situation demands. These three are drugs which are used in congestive heart failure. अब यहाँ पे देखो congestive heart failure है and patient is also having hypertension. So now third indication, we will go with the third indication. ACE inhibitors are commonly advised for young patients, young hypertensive patients. This is very important point we have to remember. ACE inhibitors are commonly advised for young hypertensive patients because young hypertensive patients will be tolerating the डोजेस ऑफ एसी इनहिबिटर्स। यंग हाइपरटेंसिव पेशेंट्स टॉलरेट करते हैं सबसे ज़्यादा, इसलिए इट इज़ कॉमनली गिवन इन यंग हाइपरटेंसिव पेशेंट्स। एंड नंबर फोर याद रख लो सब लोग, एसी इनहिबिटर्स आर आल्सो ड्रग ऑफ चॉइस if patient has erectile dysfunction। किसी भी पेशेंट में, मेनली इन मेल पेशेंट्स, अगर पेशेंट को erectile dysfunction है तो एसी इनहिबिटर्स विल बी द ड्रग ऑफ चॉइस इन हाइपरटेंशन विथ erectile dysfunction। किसी भी पेशेंट में erectile dysfunction के साथ हाइपरटेंशन है तो वी हैव टू गो विथ एसी इनहिबिटर्स। एंड वन मोर पॉइंट everybody should concentrate here, in aged patients, aged patients who is above 50-60 years, what is the common condition we can see in males? What is the common condition we can see in males? Anybody? Benign prostatic hyperplasia. If patient has BPH along with hypertension, what will be the drug of choice? Anybody from the class? If patient has BPH along with hypertension, what will be the drug of choice? Alpha blocker will be the drug of choice here. Not beta blocker, not ACE, not calcium blocker, nothing. Here alpha blocker will be the drug of choice if patient has hypertension and benign prostatic hyperplasia. Okay, and here if patient has erectile dysfunction and hypertension, we will go with ACE inhibitor. This is fourth indication. In erectile dysfunction, ACE inhibitors are showing beneficiary effects. Because of that, these are useful, because ACE inhibitors will cause vasodilation. Simple. पिनल टिश्यू में vasodilation ज़्यादा हो जाएगा and it will decrease the erectile dysfunction. Simple point. वहाँ पे ज़्यादा सोचने की कुछ भी नहीं है. And now fifth indication, if patient has artery stenosis, in that cases also we have to go with ACE inhibitors. Please preferred drug. There is a condition called renal artery stenosis. Okay, in renal artery stenosis particularly ACE inhibitors are drug of choice. In last class I told one very effective drug for hypertension, especially in artery stenosis or especially in pseudo hypertension. Can anyone tell me the drug name? Especially in pseudo hypertension में क्या ड्रग देती? Pseudo hypertension and artery stenosis both are almost same concepts, but here particularly if patient has stenosis in the renal artery, then we will go with ACE inhibitor. Can anyone tell me what is the drug of choice which is given in pseudo hypertension? Anybody? Cilostazol is a phosphodiesterase inhibitor. यहाँ पे देखो phosphodiesterase 3 inhibitor. Cilostazol भी blood vessel dilate करेगा और ACE inhibitor भी blood vessel dilate करेगा. Do you know this point? ACE inhibitors will cause vasodilation. Just now we have seen the mechanism. Okay, angiotensin 2 को कम कर दिया तो obviously it will cause vasodilation. And the sixth indication, this is another important point. If patient has coronary artery disease, in this case also we can go with ACE inhibitor. Now what is the main drug of choice with coronary artery disease and hypertension? Coronary artery disease के साथ अगर patient को hypertension है तो कौन सा drug देते? Very good, beta blocker. Here in this case also beta blocker will be the first line drug in congestive coronary artery disease, but here in this condition we can go with ACE inhibitor also. ACE inhibitors are also drug of choice in CAD hypertension. Okay, but preferential drug are beta blockers. So these are the common indications of ACE inhibitors. We will see the drug interactions. ACE inhibitors कौन से ड्रग्स के साथ नहीं देना? ACE inhibitors कौन से ड्रग्स के साथ नहीं देना? Do you know ACE inhibitors will cause hyperkalemia? How many of you know ACE inhibitors will cause hyperkalemia? How many of you know ACE inhibitors will cause hyperkalemia? Anybody from the class? Yes or no? अरे बोलो, कुछ रिलेशन है हाइपरकलेमिया कॉज करने का? क्या है बोलो, फटाफट बोलो. ओके, वेरी गुड, एग्जैक्टली. सुनो मेरी बात. एक्चुअली व्हाट इज द एक्शन ऑफ ऑल्डोस्टेरोन? ऑल्डोस्टेरोन का एक्शन क्या है? ओनली सोडियम? only sodium. Aldosterone, what it does, aldosterone along with sodium, aldosterone will increase the reabsorption of it will increase the reabsorption of sodium. It will increase the reabsorption of sodium. Sodium reabsorb karte karte, what aldosterone does, aldosterone will excrete the potassium at collecting duct. This is the action of aldosterone. सब लोग ध्यान दो यहाँ पे. Aldosterone increases reabsorption of sodium and water. ये कहां पे रीअब्जॉर्ब कर रहा है? इट इज रीअब्जॉर्बिंग इन दी ब्लड. वापस ब्लड के अंदर रीअब्जॉर्ब कर ले रहा. कौन सा? सोडियम एंड वाटर. एंड हियर by reabsorbing sodium, here the sodium will be reabsorbed back and one potassium will be excreted into the lumen of the tubule. कलेक्टिंग डक्ट के पास पोटेशियम छोड़ देगा. So aldosterone will excrete potassium. Let me repeat the point. Aldosterone will excrete the potassium in the urine. Now ACE inhibitors are decreasing aldosterone and potassium sparing diuretic is directly aldosterone antagonist. पोटेशियम स्पेरिंग डायरेटिक जो भी है स्पाइरोनोलैक्टोन करके, स्पाइरोनोलैक्टोन, इट इज ए aldosterone antagonist. These both the drugs, ACE inhibitors and potassium sparing diuretics, will decrease the action of aldosterone. aldosterone action कम हो जाएगा तो क्या होगा? aldosterone action कम होगा तो सोडियम चला जाएगा, पोटेशियम वापस आ जाएगा. सिंपल, क्लियर? तो it will cause hyperkalemia. It will cause hyperkalemia. And remember one more point, in diuretics, potassium sparing diuretics will increase the potassium, whereas we have thiazide diuretics, and we have loop diuretics. These both the drugs, thiazide diuretics and loop diuretics, what they do, they will decrease the potassium. In the body, which will cause hypokalemia. ये चीज याद रख लो. थायराइड डायरेटिक्स और लूप डायरेटिक्स will cause hypokalemia by increasing the excretion of potassium, whereas ACE inhibitors and potassium sparing diuretics will decrease the excretion of potassium and they'll increase the potassium in the blood. Through that they will cause hyperkalemia. अपने बॉडी में hyperkalemia और hypokalemia, both the conditions are very dangerous conditions. Always we have to keep monitoring the patient's potassium levels, because slight yes thiazide loop causing hypo. potassium sparing का मीनिंग क्या है? इट इज स्पेरिंग पोटेशियम. potassium sparing diuretic is also called aldosterone antagonist. aldosterone antagonist means it is antagonizing the actions of aldosterone, and the example of potassium sparing diuretic is spironolactone. ओके, अबाउट डायरेटिक्स आई डिस्कस इन डिटेल. अब यहाँ पे एसी इनहिबिटर्स में एक बार एक टॉपिक आ गया तो आई हैव टू कोरिलेट, नो, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम टेलिंग. नाउ दिस इंटरेक्शन यू अंडरस्टूड एवरीबॉडी. नेक्स्ट इंटरेक्शन इज एसी इनहिबिटर विथ लिथियम. एक्चुअली what is lithium is? Lithium is commonly given in bipolar disorder. What is bipolar disorder? कोई है अपने पास बाइपोलर पेशेंट्स? बाइपोलर डिसऑर्डर पेशेंट्स कोई है अपने क्लास में? एनीबॉडी? सी, bipolar disorder is nothing but it is a condition where patient will have mania and depression. Mania means patient will have hyperactivity. पेशेंट इलेशन में चले जाता, एजिटेशन में चले जाता, डांस करने लग जाता, विजलिंग करने लग जाता, कूदने लग जाता, हाइपर एक्टिव. Mania is nothing but hyperactive condition. Suddenly after hyperactive conditions, again patient will be depressed. Patient will not perform any activities. ये जो यहाँ पे जो भी actions दिखे थे ना, वो पूरे डिप्रेस हो जाएंगे. Patient will not talk to anybody. Patient will not show in education. Patient will not show interest in playing with friends. Patient will not show interest in entertainment. All these are depressive symptoms. So bipolar disorder is nothing but patient will have dual response. Suddenly patient hyperactive हो जाता and suddenly patient will have depression. This both the actions is called bipolar disorder, and this bipolar disorder, लिथियम इज वेरी 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 कॉमनली यूज्ड ड्रग, अफेक्टिव एंड ड्रग ऑफ चॉइस बोल सकते हैं। लिथियम इज द अफेक्टिव ड्रग इन बाइपोलर डिसऑर्डर। ओके, अब ACE इनहिबिटर के साथ लिथियम दे दिए तो क्या होगा? ACE inhibitors will decrease the excretion of lithium, and through that lithium concentration increase in the body, and lithium toxicity is seen. Lithium toxicity is seen. Why lithium toxicity is seen? Because lithium is a narrow therapeutic drug. लिथियम इज ए नैरो थेरेपेटिक ड्रग। स्लाइटली लिथियम कॉन्सेंट्रेशन सीरम के अंदर बढ़ गया तो इट विल शो इट्स टॉक्सिक इफेक्ट्स। क्लियर? दैट्स व्हाई if any patient is taking lithium, better don't advise ACE inhibitors, because ACE inhibitors can decrease the excretion of lithium, and through that it will increase the toxicity of lithium. Clear? Clear this point everybody? Now one more interaction I would like to add here. ACE inhibitor के साथ NSAIDs यूज नहीं करना है। why NSAIDs should not be used along with ACE inhibitors? ACE inhibitor plus NSAIDs. Why we should not go with ACE inhibitor plus NSAIDs? NSAIDs, what it does, NSAIDs will inhibit the prostaglandin. So Shivani, you are telling it will increase the prostaglandin. When prostaglandin is inhibited in the kidneys, what it does, it will increase the promotion of sodium, it will increase the reabsorption of sodium and water. So water retention बढ़ जाएगा। NSAIDs ज़्यादा यूज करे तो it will increase the retention of water, and through that what will happen? Antihypertensive effect will be decreased, no, with NSAID. This same reaction also can be seen with beta blocker plus NSAID. बीटा ब्लॉकर प्लस NSAID अगर अपन ये दो कॉम्बिनेशन में दिए तो NSAIDs will increase the reabsorption of sodium and water, and through that it will decrease the action of antihypertensive action of beta blocker. Okay, so don't forget ACE inhibitors and NSAIDs, ये दोनों के साथ अगर ज़्यादा chronically use, if we use chronically, efficacy of ACE inhibitors will be decreased. Simple. Efficacy of ACE inhibitors will be decreased. Clear? This point, arteriole should be dilated always, and efferent arteriole should be constricted. Why? Because for maintaining GFR maintain करने के लिए afferent arteriole should be dilated and efferent arteriole should be constricted. Now, when NSAID is given, when NSAID is given, what will happen? See, actually the afferent arteriole, before that let me tell you another point. Afferent arteriole is dilated because of the presence of prostaglandin, in the afferent arteriole. Prostaglandins क्या करता? Prostaglandins, सुनो सब लोग, in previous classes I told, in about corticosteroids I told one point. Prostaglandins will cause pain, fever, inflammation, and और क्या था? पेन हो गया, फीवर हो गया, इन्फ्लेमेशन। ओके, पेन, फीवर एंड इन्फ्लेमेशन. Prostaglandins will cause pain, fever and inflammation. Along with these, prostaglandins are showing beneficiary effects. Beneficiary effects कहाँ पे? It is showing beneficiary effects in the brain, it is showing beneficiary effects in the kidneys, and prostaglandins are showing beneficiary effects in the GI tract करके I told. In the stomach, it will protect the mucosal layer. I told these 3 points, right? Here in kidneys, prostaglandin का action kidneys में क्या है? Prostaglandins kidneys के afferent arteriole के पास, here in the afferent arteriole, it will cause afferent arteriole dilation. When afferent arteriole is dilated, the perfusion and the flow of blood into the glomerulus is very high. And through that more filtration can be seen. Okay, clear this point? Now efferent arteriole is constricted. Due to constricted position, the fluid which is being collected here in the tubules, it will be reabsorbed properly, or due to constriction position, the blood will not properly flow into the efferent arteriole and it will flow into the tubules only. So this will improve GFR कब improve होगा? जब afferent arteriole dilated position में रहता है और जब efferent arteriole constriction position में रहता है। ये दो अगर ऐसा रहा तो what will happen? The blood flow will properly filters in the glomerulus and it will maintain GFR. Now When NSAID is given, prostaglandin will be inhibited. So what will happen? The afferent arteriole will be constricted. That means afferent arteriole क्या हो जाएगा? Constrict हो जाएगा. So when afferent arteriole is constricted, will it maintain GFR? It will maintain GFR, but the pressure will increase here, and from here also pressure will increase. यहाँ पे efferent arteriole के पास ये constriction क्यों रहता है? Afferent, हाँ, afferent arteriole is dilated because of prostaglandin, and here efferent arteriole is constricted because of the presence of angiotensin 2 receptors. So angiotensin 2 receptor, angiotensin will fall on this efferent arteriole and it will cause vasoconstriction. Now what we did, we gave ACE inhibitor and we gave NSAID. ACE inhibitor दिए तो efferent arteriole will dilate, and afferent arteriole is constricted due to NSAID. तो opposite हो गया, afferent arteriole dilated पे रहना था वो constrict हो गया, efferent arteriole constricted में रहना था वो dilate हो गया. So what will happen? Hemodynamic changes will occur. Pressure in the afferent arteriole increases and pressure in the efferent arteriole decreases. Afferent arteriole में pressure बढ़ जाएगा, efferent arteriole में pressure कम हो जाएगा. With that what will happen? In efferent arteriole more absorption of fluid can be seen, and through that what will happen? More amount of NaCl, more amount of sodium will be reabsorbed. अब यहाँ पे देखो, in this position, if a diuretic is given, diuretic क्या करेगा? बोलो, diuretic क्या करेगा? Diuretic ये सोडियम को फिर से स्टॉप कर देगा. Diuretic will stop the reabsorption of sodium. So what will happen? Already the efferent arteriole, which is dilated, which is easily reabsorbing the sodium, okay, here diuretic what it does, it will stop the reabsorption of sodium, and again what will happen? The fluid which is coming from the glomerulus will try to excrete more water, and what happens? This will again create more pressure on the afferent arteriole से fluid आ रहा ही नहीं. afferent arteriole से fluid ज़्यादा कब आएगा? जब it is dilated, but here it is constricted. So when a patient takes ACE inhibitor, or when a patient takes NSAID, or when a patient takes a diuretic, these three combination will try to destroy or will try to cause kidney impairment. These three drugs will try to cause kidney impairment or nephron damage. This condition of giving the three drugs in combination is called कौन बोलते हैं? is called triple whammy. ये ऑलरेडी आप लोगों को समझाया था मैंने. Triple whammy is the condition which will try to destroy or which will try to damage the nephrons when ACE inhibitor, NSAID and diuretic is given in combination. अगर AC inhibitor और NSAID कॉम्बिनेशन में दिए तो क्या होता? हीमोडायनामिक चेंज होके एक्सक्रीशन जो हो रहा है वो कम हो जाएगा और सोडियम वाटर ज़्यादा बढ़ जाएगा एंड पेशेंट विल हैव हाइपरटेंशन. वहाँ पे हाइपरटेंशन बढ़ा के पेशेंट को इट इज शोइंग नेगेटिव फीडबैक मैकेनिज्म. बट इन द सेम केस if diuretic is again given to the patient, further lethal consequences, okay, it will try to damage the kidneys. ACE inhibitor, NSAID and diuretic should never be combined together. Let me repeat the point. ACE inhibitor, NSAID and diuretic should never be given in combination. Why? Because it will cause nephrotoxicity. Clear this point, everybody? Now we will go with adverse effects. फटाफट देखेंगे adverse effects. अब बोलो adverse effects के बारे में. ADRs of ACE inhibitors. In previous class we have already discussed. Yes, very good. Dry cough और very good. Teratogenicity very good. और ACE inhibitors और क्या करेगा? हाइपरकलेमिया very good. हाइपरकलेमिया और very good शिवानी. और what common effects are seen with ACE inhibitors? Vicky? These are dangerous effects. These are dangerous lethal effects. कफ हो गया, टेरेटोजेनिसिटी हो गया, पोटेशियम हाइपरकलेमिया हो गया, और एनी will it cause hypotension? Will they cause hypotension? They will cause hypotension. और Any other? Sometimes they will cause proteinuria, sometimes they will cause proteinuria, or they will cause angioedema. You can remember as captopril, CAPT, captopril, PRIL. Okay. C means C represents cough, dry cough. Why? Because bradykinin levels will be increased and that will cause dry cough. And A means it will cause angioedema because all blood vessels are dilating. Blood vessel dilate हो गया तो it will cause angioedema. Okay. And next it will cause proteinuria. यहाँ पे proteinuria तो है लेकिन exact reason we don't know. And T means it will cause teratogenicity. O means it will cause hypotension. And again another P is it will cause neutropenia. R rashes, itching, loss of taste. Okay, which is also called dysgeusia. Agusia means total loss of taste. Yes. एल में ल्यूकोपिनिया भी हो सकता है. यस, ल्यूकोपिनिया भी हो सकता है. ल्यूकोसाइट्स कम हो जाते. अब न्यूट्रोपिनिया, न्यूट्रोफिल्स कम होगा तो समटाइम्स ल्यूकोसाइट्स also will decrease. Okay. Anyways, so these are some common adverse effects that can be seen with AC inhibitors, but in among all these you have to remember cough and you have to remember rashes, because AC inhibitors will cause cough and rashes very very commonly, and due to these adverse effects what we will do, we will go with alternative therapy, that is ARBs. ARBs also will have same mechanism as if AC inhibitors are showing, but mechanism is different but action is same. So ARBs are the drug of choice if patient is having dry cough or if patient is having rashes. Okay. And see, in ARBs के similarity क्या है? ARBs में cough is not seen but angioedema, proteinuria, teratogenicity and hypotension, these are common, and some ARBs rashes and itching is also commonly seen. So the main difference between AC inhibitors and ARBs is cough will not be seen in ARBs. Why in ARBs cough is not seen? Because in ARBs are acting here on the tissues by inhibiting the actions. Tissue के ऊपर action है. It is not having the action on the angiotensin converting enzyme. So the bradykinin which is elevated in the lungs will not be elevated, it will be metabolized into inactive products. So dry cough is not seen with ARBs, whereas the remaining other actions can be seen as it is seen in the AC inhibitors. Clear? I think I forgot to tell that point. Wait. See here, swelling of nose, lips, mouth, throat, larynx, glottis. ये क्यों होता पता है आपने को? Why patient will have angioedema? See, the peripheral parts of the skin tissues or peripheral areas or peripheral, particularly the nasal cavity, nose, lips, mainly lips, and the buccal cavity, sometimes the larynx, pharynx. यहाँ पे see, can you see these images, everybody? What is angio? You know what is angio? Angio का मीनिंग पता है आपको? Do you know the meaning of angio? What I just now I told, no? Angio means blood. Angio means blood vessel. Angiogenesis. What is angiogenesis? Angiogenesis means formation of new blood vessels. Angiogenesis means formation of new blood vessels. Angioedema means formation of edema due to the leakage of fluid from the blood vessels, or due to the क्या बोल सकते हैं, due to the rapid vasodilation. Okay, so these are points related to angio. Angio means blood vessel, याद रख लो. अब एंजियोएडिमा मीन्स ब्लड वेसल डायलेशन, सिंपल। समझ गए? क्या कोई डाउट है इसमें? डू यू हैव एनी डाउट? नाउ वन मोर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट आई वुड लाइक टू ऐड हियर। सब लोग ध्यान दो, कल का पॉइंट फिर से मैं आपको रिपीट करूंगा। नंबर 1, हाइपरटेंशन। हाइपरटेंशन is nothing but elevated blood pressure. Elevated blood pressure कब कब दिखेगा? We have 3 factors. Number 1 is cardiac output. Number 2 is blood volume. Number 3 is peripheral resistance, right? Simply अब देखो, cardiac output is nothing but blood pressure is nothing but cardiac output into peripheral resistance. This point yesterday we have already discussed. Now cardiac output is stroke volume into heart rate into peripheral resistance बराबर? are you getting my audio? अब देखो अब अपने को in yesterday's class I told, if patient's heart rate is very high, we will go with beta blockers. Here heart rate decreases, and when heart rate is decreased, stroke volume will decrease, and when stroke volume is decreased, obviously cardiac output will decrease, and through that we can reduce the blood pressure. Now in today's class we discussed about ACE inhibitors, right? ACE inhibitors. I told one very important point. ACE inhibitors are drug of choice in which condition? ACE inhibitors are drug of choice in hypertension with diabetes plus congestive heart failure. Now this point is mainly related to heart, no? Okay, ACE inhibitors are drug of choice in hypertension plus congestive heart failure. Congestive heart failure में ACE inhibitors are drug of choice. Why? ACE inhibitors are drug of choice in congestive heart failure and hypertension. Why? सुनो सर, हार्ट रेट कम करेगा कौन? एसी इनहिबिटर। कहाँ पे? तो इज इट इंक्रीजिंग कार्डियक आउटपुट? हाउ एसी वासोडाइलेशन कॉज करेगा तो हाँ ओके, ब्लड वेजल्स में प्रेशर कम हो जाएगा, बट ओके पेरिफेरल रेजिस्टेंस कम कर रहा। इन कंजेस्टिव हार्ट फेलियर it is decreasing peripheral resistance. Okay, that. And any other reason? Now you see I would like to add some more basic points about congestive heart failure here. ये पॉइंट आपको समझने में some basic चीज़ें पढ़ाना पड़ेगा. In first class I should tell all these points. I forgot. I will tell now. See, सब लोग ध्यान देना. No one is sleeping, right? See, we have three concepts. Number one, there is a term called end diastolic volume. How many of you know about end diastolic volume? End diastolic volume. And there is another term called end systolic volume. And there is one more term called ejection fraction. Okay. And stroke volume we already know. Stroke volume. अब देखो यहाँ पे सब लोग ध्यान देना. Everybody should concentrate here. What is end diastolic volume? जस्ट इमेजिन दिस इज आर्टिकल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होगा, जब आर्टिकल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होगा तो वेंट्रिकल क्या होगा, जब आर्टिकल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वेंट्रिकल क्या होगा, जब आर्टिकल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होगा वेंट्रिकल डायलेट होगा ना, डायलेट मींस डिस्टोल, जब वेंट्रिकल डायलेट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हो रहा तो आर्टिकल डायलेट होगा. See, when blood is flowing from ventricle, blood is entering into auricle. When blood is flowing from auricle, uh, what we can say, when blood is flowing from ventricle, it is coming into the auricle. ओके यहाँ से जब यहाँ बाहर जाते रहता तो यहाँ पे ब्लड यहाँ से इसमें आते रहता. ओके when ventricle is contracting, auricle will be dilating and blood will be coming in the auricle. And when auricle will be contracting, when auricle will be contracting, the blood will be coming into the ventricle. ventricle dilate जब होता है तो blood इसमें आएगा. ओके चलो आप लोग यहाँ पे कंफ्यूज होने की बात कुछ भी नहीं है, इट्स वेरी सिंपल. end diastolic volume is nothing but when ventricles are dilated. ventricles dilate हो गया तो उसमें blood आके इसमें it will stay in the ventricle and it will be ready to contract. before contraction starts, before contraction starts, the ventricle will be ready with the fluid. That is yes. It is left ventricle. It is left ventricle. 120 ml is left ventricle because blood will flow from left ventricle only. We will not talk about right ventricle. Okay, right ventricle is sending blood into the pulmonary tissues. That is different concept. End diastolic volume is nothing but this. In end diastolic volume, particularly the left ventricle. सब लोग समझ गए. end diastolic volume left ventricle में 120. ओके चलो. एंड दिस इज end systolic volume. end systolic volume क्या है? end systolic volume means आफ्टर कॉन्ट्रैक्शन ऑफ वेंट्रिकल्स. वेंट्रिकल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होने के बाद, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हो गया, ब्लड पूरा बाहर निकल गया, उसके बाद थोड़ा इसमें बचेगा ना फ्लूइड, सम फ्लूइड विल बी लेफ्ट इन दी वेंट्रिकल्स. दैट इज कॉल्ड एंड सिस्टोलिक वॉल्यूम. 120 is the total volume of the ventricle which is filled when ventricle is dilated, which is called at the end of ventricle dilation. That's why it is named as end dystolic volume. That is 120 ml. And end systolic volume is nothing but when ventricle is contracted. Ventricle contract होने के बाद it will eject out, blood will be ejected out, and some blood will stay in the body. That some blood is called end systolic volume. How much blood will be left in the ventricle, in the left ventricle? बोलो. Roughly 40 mg. 40 ml. अब देखो एंड डायस्टोलिक वॉल्यूम नॉर्मल पेशेंट में बोल रहा हूं मैं. एंड डायस्टोलिक वॉल्यूम विल बी 120 ml in normal patients and end systolic volume will be 40 ml. So what will be the stroke volume? Now you should tell. What will be the stroke volume? 80 ml. 120 ml से भर गया पहले, 80 ml से भरने के बाद 40 ml बचा उसमें, तो बाकी का बाहर कितना निकला? 80 ml. 80 ml. So 80 ml is the stroke volume. For every beat of ventricle, the heart will pump 80 ml of blood. And for 1 minute, stroke volume is for 1 second. एक beat, 1 minute में probably 70 beats मार लेता पेशेंट. So stroke volume is 80 ml into 70. 1 मिनट में कितना फ्लूइड बाहर निकलेगा बोलो? 70 into 80 how much? 7 8 जा 56 or 54? 6. 5 liter 600 ml. That means probably it is ejecting 5 liters of blood in 5600 or 5600 only, no? हाँ 786 is okay. तो देखो, तो आप लोग स्ट्रोक वॉल्यूम समझ गए. एंड डायस्टोलिक वॉल्यूम, एंड सिस्टोलिक वॉल्यूम एंड स्ट्रोक वॉल्यूम. अब देखो ये इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. क्लिनिकली इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन कार्डियोलॉजी. अब अगर 80 ml fluid is ejecting out, that means पेशेंट्स हार्ट इज नॉर्मल, पेशेंट्स हार्ट इज नॉर्मल। अब यहाँ पे इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन किसको बोलते हैं? द अमाउंट ऑफ फ्लूइड विच इज इजेक्टेड आउट इन 1 beat or in 1 minute, that is ejection fraction. Here the volume of total ventricle is 120 ml. Okay, and when we check the end systolic volume, it is 40 ml. 40 ml is normal, 40 ml is normal, and stroke volume is 80. अब देखो किसी भी पेशेंट में स्ट्रोक वॉल्यूम 60 है, स्ट्रोक वॉल्यूम 60 है, तो एंड सिस्टोलिक वॉल्यूम कितना होगा? इफ पेशेंट स्ट्रोक वॉल्यूम इज it will be 60, no? Even after pumping the blood out, the fluid is accumulated in the ventricle already more than 40 ml. that means अगर किसी भी पेशेंट में एंड सिस्टोलिक वॉल्यूम 40 ml से ज्यादा हो रहा, तो उसका मीनिंग क्या है बोलो? उसका मीनिंग क्या है बोलो? if any patient's ejection end systolic volume, this is very important, if any patient's end systolic volume is more than 40 ml, what does it indicate? It indicates that the ventricles of the cardiac myocytes are not properly contracting. Am I right? end systolic volume 40 ml ही रहना, that is the very limited volume. पूरा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करने के बाद 40 बच रहा, पूरा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करने के बाद, दैट इज वेरी लिमिटेड वॉल्यूम. अगर 40 ml से ज्यादा बच रहा मीन्स इट इज इंडिकेटिंग दैट कार्डियक मायोसाइट इज नॉट कॉन्ट्रैक्टिंग प्रॉपरली. अब देखो इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन कैसा कैलकुलेट करते? इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन इज नथिंग बट द अमाउंट ऑफ फ्लूइड दैट इज कमिंग आउट ऑफ द हार्ट, दैट इज इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन, दैट इज इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन. अब देखो एंड डायस्टोलिक वॉल्यूम इज 120 ml, एंड डायस्टोलिक वॉल्यूम इज 120 ml, एंड डायस्टोलिक वॉल्यूम इज 120 ml. अगर 120 ml अंदर आया एंड सेम 120 ml बाहर चले गया तो उसको क्या बोलते हैं? वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड, दैट इज कॉल्ड 100% इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन, 100% इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन. अब देखो 120 अंदर आया बट बाहर कितना निकल रहा? 80 ml, 80 ml. तो इसका इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन कितना होगा? 120 से 120 गया तो उसको 100 ml बोलते हैं. 120 इज 100, 120 इज 100%. एंड व्हाट इज द 80 ml? क्रॉस मल्टीप्लाई करो, 120 इज 100 एंड 80 इज 75, 75 श्योर, हाँ 75, अप्रोक्सीमेटली 75, अप्रोक्सीमेटली 75, 75 आ रहा. सब लोग कैलकुलेट कैसा कैलकुलेट करते हैं? पता चला आपको इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन? How many of you understood how to calculate ejection fraction? Tell me. किसको समझ में नहीं आया बोलो, किसको समझ में नहीं आया बोलो. Open your mouth and tell me हाँ या नहीं. किसको समझ में नहीं आया? Okay, I think everybody understood. Very good. So ejection fraction, our normal ejection fraction will be between 45, 40 से भी ले सकते हैं, एक बार 38 भी रहते, 40 to 65 और more than 65. दिस विल बी आवर नॉर्मल इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन. अगर इससे नीचे चले गया तो देन वी कैन सस्पेक्ट दैट पेशेंट्स इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन इज वेरी लो एंड पेशेंट इज हैविंग कंजेस्टिव रिलेटेड हार्ट डिसऑर्डर्स. एक बार अपन नॉर्मल वैल्यूज भी देख लेते हैं, एक मिनट. वी विल सी द नॉर्मल वैल्यूज, नॉर्मल इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन. Here it is telling 50 to 75. A normal ejection fraction is 50 to 75. Up to 41, borderline 41 to 50 ले सकते. Okay, चलो. Okay. So see why I told all these points. Why I told all these points is because when patient's ejection fraction is very low, in that cases what is the role of ACE inhibitor is the question. If patient's ejection fraction is very low, what is the role of ACE इनहिबिटर्स, कौन बोलेगा ये पॉइंट? एनीबडी फ्रॉम द क्लास? सब लोग यहां पे ध्यान दो. What is the action of angiotensin 2 डायरेक्टली ऑन हार्ट? हार्ट के हार्ट के हार्ट रेट इंक्रीज करेगा और उसके साथ क्या करेगा? हियर दे हैव रिटन, सी, कार्डियक हाइपरट्रोफी एंड रीमॉडलिंग. कार्डियक हाइपरट्रोफी मीन्स व्हाट? Cardiac hypertrophy means what? It will increase the force of contraction of heart. It will increase the force of contraction of heart. अब देखो यहाँ पे सब लोग ध्यान दो. ACE inhibitor से अपने को one benefit reaction is we are dilating the blood vessel. Number one, we are dilating the blood vessel. और यहाँ पे heart is already increasing its rate. हार्ट रेट इंक्रीज होगा. हार्ट रेट इंक्रीज क्यों होगा? कंजेस्टिव हार्ट फेलियर में हार्ट रेट इंक्रीज क्यों होगा? जो ब्लड बाहर है, द ब्लड विच इज इन द ब्लड वेजल्स, ब्लड वेजल के अंदर फ्लूइड इज प्रेजेंट इन द ब्लड वेजल्स ओनली, पर्टिकुलरली इन द वीन्स के अंदर, ब्लड वेजल के अंदर ब्लड वैसा ही रहेगा. वही बिकॉज द ब्लड इज नॉट कमिंग इन टू द राइट वेंट्रिकल, एंड फ्रॉम राइट वेंट्रिकल द ब्लड इज नॉट गोइंग इन टू द लंग्स, एंड लंग्स से जो भी आ रहा है यहाँ पे आने के बाद बाहर निकल रहा नहीं ना बराबर. किसी भी एक जगह पे इफ ब्लड इज स्टॉप्ड, किसी भी एक जगह पे इफ द मूवमेंट ऑफ द ड्रग इज रिस्ट्रिक्टेड, एवरीवेयर लोड विल इंक्रीज. एवरीवेयर, पर्टिकुलरली इन द ब्लड वेजल्स, ओवरलोड विल इंक्रीज. ओवरलोड होने के बाद पेशेंट विल हैव सीवियर हाइपरटेंशन. अब देखो ओवरलोड होने के बाद व्हाट हैपेंस? Patient's sympathetic activity will increase, and sympathetic activity, what it does? Sympathetic activity will go on the heart and it will increase the heart rate. हार्ट रेट बढ़ जाएगा. कंजेस्टिव हार्ट फेल्यूर में ओवरलोड होने के बाद when fluid is having overload, it will increase further, it will increase sympathetic activity and it will increase heart rate, because heart rate बढ़ा के cardiac output increase करना चाहता है. Brain wants to increase the cardiac output, so for that the heart rate will be increased. Heart rate increase होने के बाद patient will have severe tachycardia. Patient will have severe tachycardia. So here when ACE inhibitor is given, it is decreasing the tachycardia, number one, in the heart, and it is decreasing the blood vessel vasoconstriction, it is dilating the blood vessels, and it is decreasing heart rate, and it is decreasing the blood pressure, that is second. And here जो भी fluid accumulate हो जा रहा, वही aldosterone, what it is doing? It is increasing the blood and it is increasing in the blood vessel. No, it is further causing overload. So here again angiotensin 2 is decreasing the action. So because of these three actions, number one on the blood vessel, number two on the aldosterone, and number three on the heart rate particularly, these three actions will try to improve the patient's condition in congestive heart failure. And along with this यहाँ पे heart rate कम तो हो गया, लेकिन फोर्स ऑफ कंट्रैक्शन के ऊपर कुछ भी एक्शन नहीं है, तो व्हाट वी कैन गो विथ डिगॉक्सिन दिए तो सब ये एक्शन के साथ साथ फोर्स ऑफ कंट्रैक्शन ज्यादा हो जाएगा और इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन इंप्रूव हो जाएगा. पेशेंट्स इजेक्शन फ्रैक्शन इंक्रीजेस. सो दिस आर द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ एसी इनहिबिटर्स. में और कुछ डाउट है अपने को? अपन क्या क्या देखे एसी इनहिबिटर्स के बारे में? एग्जांपल्स वी हैव सीन, मैकेनिज्म वी हैव सीन, adverse effects we have seen, drug interactions we have seen, and indications also we have seen. indications पूरे सीख गए. indications बोलो. one is hypertension in diabetes, next is hypertension with heart failure, next congestive heart failure, and hypertension in, very good, in young patients, and hypertension with erectile dysfunction, very good, erectile dysfunction, very good. और क्या देखें? और क्या? heart risk. All these are important indications you should not forget in the patients who requires AC inhibitors. AC inhibitor कौन से patient में सीख गए. Okay, in next class we will try to see the calcium channel blockers and diuretics स्टार्ट करते, डायरेटिक्स के बारे में डिटेल में पढ़ते. Osmotic diuretics already we have seen, and along with that carbonic anhydrase भी अपन we have seen. Next left is loop diuretic, thiazide diuretic, and what else left? Loop diuretic, thiazide diuretic, and osmotic, carbonic anhydrase, और potassium sparing. Yes, potassium sparing, our favorite. So these three diuretics. ये सब diuretics पढ़ेंगे एक simple summary में. Wherever these drugs will act, we will see. थोड़ा confusion रहेगा इसमें, but you have to concentrate. अगर concentrate कर लिए तो आ जाता. Very easy, very easy. AC इनिबिटर सब लोग परफेक्ट हो गए. और कुछ है AC इनिबिटर के बारे में डाउट? हाँ, अपन केस डिस्कस करना था ना. केस विल सॉल्व द केस. कहाँ गया केस, कहाँ गया? हाँ, तो ये पेशेंट को देखो. ये पेशेंट को आप कैसा ट्रीट करते हैं? हाउ विल यू ट्रीट दिस पेशेंट? व्हाट विल यू डू? हाउ विल यू ट्रीट इफ सेम पेशेंट कम्स टू योर क्लिनिक? हाउ विल यू ट्रीट दिस पेशेंट? See, if the same patient comes to my clinic, what I will do? First of all, patient's body weight is heavy, obese. So I will advise the patient to restrict weight. Number one, very important. And non-pharmacological is very important. Weight के साथ I will advise the patient not to take more salt. And I will advise the patient to not take more fatty diets. And I will advise the patient to do some physical activities करे तो here patient diabetes will be restricted, I mean diabetes will be decreased, and through that here in this patient's diabetes is mainly secondary diabetes, secondary to hypertension is due to diabetes. Patient's hypertension is secondary hypertension due to diabetes, right? तो अपन फिजिकल एक्टिविटीज बढ़ाना, वेट कम करना और फैटी डाइट कम करना, साल्ट कम करना. दिस इज द मेन ट्रीटमेंट दैट इज गिवन फॉर दिस पेशेंट. ए पेशेंट के लिए नॉन फार्माकोथेरेपी इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. दैट वन फर्स्ट वीक आई विल टेल द पेशेंट टू डू ऑल दिस थिंग्स. अगर एक हफ्ते में 2-3 किलो कम नहीं किया तो देन व्हाट आई विल डू इन द नेक्स्ट वीक? आई विल एडवाइज द ट्रीटमेंट. And here what I'll advise, patient is having diabetes, patient may have risk of proteinuria, or patient may have risk of nephrotoxicity. So many research studies are telling AC inhibitors are drug of choice if patient has diabetes and hypertension. So I'll start with AC inhibitor. I'll start with captopril or enalapril. Ramipril करके ड्रग है, बहुत अच्छा है. Ramipril 24 hours यूज करेगा, every day 1 tablet enough. So I will start with Ramipril. If patient is having symptoms, adverse effects with this Ramipril like cough, angioedema, or any adverse effect, what I will do? I will replace the Ramipril with telmisartan, that is ARB. Because ARBs and AC inhibitors are drug of choice in diabetic hypertension, right? This is one important point. And next और क्या कर सकते हैं? पेशेंट को कैसा ट्रीट कर सकते हैं? पेशेंट्स बॉडी वेट इज ओवरवेट, सो वी कैन गो विथ वन स्टैटिन थेरेपी. एक स्टैटिन दे सकते हैं, अटरोस्टैटिन और एनीथिंग. And we will advise all non pharmacotherapy. Okay, and और क्या कर सकते हैं? Is there anything else to treat? How to treat the patient? Is there anything? आपके पास आए तो आप कैसा ट्रीट करोगे? ऐसे ही ट्रीट करोगे ना? इसमें कुछ डिफिकल्टी है अपने को. These are according to guidelines only. I am not telling myself. ये मेरे हिसाब से नहीं. I am telling according to guidelines. अगर देखो, अब आप सवाल पूछ सकते हैं, सर रामिप्रिल दिए, सीवियर एडवर्स इफेक्ट्स आ गया, पेशेंट इज नॉट टॉलरेटिंग, कॉफ, एंजियोडिमा, पल्मोनरी कंजेशन, ये सब हो जा रहा, तो ARB दिए, टेलमिसार्टान दिए. टेलमिसार्टान देने से भी पेशेंट्स का ब्लड प्रेशर बराबर से कंट्रोल नहीं हो रहा. सो व्हाट विल यू डू? ARB के साथ बीटा ब्लॉकर दे सकते हैं. ARB के साथ बीटा ब्लॉकर दे सकते हैं. ARB इज डिक्रीजिंग हार्ट रेट, नो? हाँ, देखो कभी भी, अब देखो, AC inhibitor and ARBs both are having same action. AC inhibitors and ARBs both are having same action. Can we give one Ramipril and can we give one telmisartan at a time? Ramipril is AC inhibitor and telmisartan is ARB. एक ARB और एक AC inhibitor दोनों एक ही साथ दे सकते हैं? नहीं देना. एक ही क्लास के दो ड्रग्स नहीं देना कभी भी. In the same way, ARB is definitely causing beta blocking activity, and it is decreasing heart rate. So here beta blocker नहीं देना because bradycardia होने के chances है. Here, if patient is not tolerating ramipril, we give ARB. And ARB देने के बाद भी patient का blood pressure control नहीं हो रहा, so we have to go here. Patient's body weight is overweight, no? So we have to check patients polyuria also. Diabetic patients में polyuria होने के chances है, polyuria के साथ साथ glycosuria होने के chances भी है. तो if patient is having more glycosuria or more polyuria, don't go with diuretic, go with CCB. गो विथ CCB. नहीं, यहाँ पे CCB, अगर CCB नहीं, CCB कब देना? इफ पेशेंट इज हैविंग ऑस्मेटिक सिम्टम्स. ऑस्मेटिक सिम्टम्स मीन्स ऑल डायूरेसिस रिलेटेड सिम्टम्स. अगर ये सब नॉर्मल है तो गो विथ वन डायूरेटिक. कौन सा डायूरेटिक दोगे? अगर यहाँ पे पेशेंट को ग्लाइकोसूरिया नहीं है, प्रोटीनूरिया नहीं है, ऑस्मेटिक सिम्टम्स नहीं है, ARB के साथ कौन सा ड्रग दोगे? लूप डायरेटिक और थायजाइड शुड बी गिवन. नो, लूप भी दे सकते, थायजाइड भी दे सकते. क्यों? फिर से लूप और थायजाइड दोनों मिला के नहीं देना. लूप डायरेटिक और थायजाइड डायरेटिक मिला के नहीं देना. थायजाइड तो भी दे सकते या लूप दे सकते, बिकॉज ARBs में कॉज हाइपरकलेमिया एंड थायजाइड्स विल कॉज हाइपोकलेमिया. सो दोनों का एक्शन कम हो जाएगा. बराबर? आर यू फॉलोइंग? ACE inhibitors and ARBs are causing hyperkalemia, and loop diuretic and thiazide is causing hypokalemia. तो लूप डायरेटिक तो भी ऐड कर सकते हैं इसके साथ, या थायजाइड तो भी ऐड कर सकते हैं. बराबर? बट लूप डायरेटिक प्लस थायजाइड डायरेटिक बोथ कॉम्बिनेशन में कभी नहीं देना. ACE एंड ARB कभी नहीं देना. ACE एंड ARB कभी नहीं देना. बीटा ब्लॉकर प्लस ACEs, एक रेयर कंडीशन में अगर टैकीकार्डिया कम नहीं हो रहा तो उस कंडीशन में दे सकते, बट कॉमनली इट इज नॉट सजेस्टेड. टैकीकार्डिया अगर पेशेंट को है, ट्रेमर्स है, और पेशेंट को अरिथमिक रिलेटेड सिम्टम्स है, साइनस टैकीकार्डिया बोलते, वेंट्रिकुलर टैकीकार्डिया बोलते, एट्रियल फ्लटर बोलते, एट्रियल टैकीकार्डिया बोलते, एट्रियल फिब्रिलेशन बोलते. ऑल दीज आर द डिफरेंट टर्म्स फॉर अरिथमिया. उस कंडीशंस में बीटा ब्लॉकर के साथ AC इनहिबिटर दे सकते हैं अपन, बट मोस्टली वी शुड नॉट. एंड कैन वी गो विथ AC इनहिबिटर प्लस स्पेरोनोलैक्टोन? AC इनहिबिटर प्लस स्पेरोनोलैक्टोन दे सकते हैं. यहाँ पे ज्यादा कंफ्यूजन कुछ भी नहीं, कॉमन सेंस यूज करना बस. एक एक ड्रग के बारे में एक एक पॉइंट याद रख लो, बस खत्म. ज्यादा ब्रेन यूज करने की जरूरत भी नहीं है यहाँ पे. वेरी सिंपल. आर यू ऑल अंडरस्टैंडिंग टोटल कॉन्सेप्ट्स? शिवानी इज अंडरस्टैंडिंग. वेरी गुड. Shivani, you keep reading Shanbag textbook also along with this. It will help you, because sometimes I may miss some points. Okay.